Stop for a moment and examine the foundation of your thoughts. Are you relentlessly pursuing happiness? Are you constantly repeating affirmations about wealth and success? Are you trying to simply think your way into a better reality? If you are relying on the popular dogma of positive thinking, then you are building your future on a foundation of fragile glass. The world is hard. Challenges are inevitable. Success is earned through relentless problem-solving, not wishful thinking. The empty affirmation is the mental equivalent of putting a sticker over a major structural flaw. It feels good, but it accomplishes nothing. The truly successful do not just think positively, they think usefully. Useful thinking is a cognitive framework designed for resilience, brutal self-assessment, problem-solving, and facing cold, hard reality without flinching. It is the core mental discipline that separates dreamers from builders. You're listening to a special presentation from the Zenith Voice. Today, we pull back the curtain on the 7 core principles of useful thinking, the cognitive tools that will transform your mind from a passive wish machine into an unstoppable engine of realistic achievement. The first core principle of useful thinking is the absolute commitment to reality alignment. Positive thinking encourages you to ignore painful facts or shortcomings. It asks you to visualize a perfect, often unrealistic outcome. This practice leaves you psychologically brittle and ill-equipped for the inevitable setbacks. Useful thinking demands the opposite. It requires a brutal, unemotional assessment of your current reality. The hard truth: you cannot fix a problem you refuse to acknowledge. Reality is the ultimate standard. Your feelings are irrelevant to its facts. If your business is failing, don't repeat the affirmation, "My business is thriving." That is a lie. The useful thought is, "My cash flow is X dollars below my burn rate. What is the single, measurable action I can take in the next 24 hours to address the variance?" Reality alignment is a 3-step cognitive filter. Identify the fact. State the problem in measurable, unemotional language. I missed my deadline because I spent 3 hours on distraction. Strip the emotion. Remove all judgment, shame, or self-pity. The fact is just data. Define the gap. Clearly identify the space between where you are and where you need to be. That gap is your mission. The disciplined mind does not retreat from painful facts. It runs toward them. It knows that the clearer the understanding of the current reality, the more precise and effective the resulting action will be. Truth is not just a moral good, it is a strategic weapon. Positive thinking is an emotion-first framework. I must feel good to perform well. This makes your success conditional on your mood, which is fleeting and unreliable. Useful thinking is an action-first framework. I must perform well to feel good. This makes you feel a reward for your discipline, securing the success loop. The goal of useful thinking is not to generate comfort, but to generate resilience. The third core principle is the strategic use of negative visualization, a Stoic practice that directly confronts potential failures. Positive thinking tells you to ignore what could go wrong. Useful thinking forces you to spend a few minutes every day contemplating the worst, yet realistic, outcomes of your choices. The hard truth: ignoring disaster does not prevent it. Preparing for it does. Negative visualization is a proactive form of emotional insurance. You ask yourself, what if I lose this client? What if this launch fails? What if the market collapses? This practice yields 2 crucial benefits. Reduces impact. When the anticipated bad event actually occurs, it lacks the shock and emotional devastation that cripples the unprepared mind. You have already processed the immediate emotional fallout. Generate solutions. By visualizing the failure, you are forced to mentally rehearse your recovery strategy. You transition instantly from, "oh no," to, "okay, plan B is in effect." This is not pessimism, it is preparedness. The mind becomes inoculated against fear and chaos. You transform potential threats from ambiguous, terrifying unknowns into specific, manageable scenarios with known countermeasures. When your mind is resilient, your actions are decisive. Positive thinking tends to gloss over root causes, seeking surface-level fixes. Useful thinking demands depth and architectural change. The fourth core principle is the utilization of the 5XY solution grid, a relentless cognitive tool for dissecting the roots of chronic problems. When you encounter a repeated failure, example, constantly missing deadlines, falling short on sales goals, or abandoning routines, the untrained mind accepts the surface-level explanation. The useful thinker understands that a surface-level problem is always a symptom. The hard truth: solving symptoms is temporary effort. Solving root causes is permanent power. The 5XY process involves asking why 5 successive times to drill down to the fundamental system failure. Problem: I missed the deadline. Why 1? I started the project too late. Why 2? I procrastinated on the hard starting tasks. Why 3? I procrastinate when my schedule is vague. Why 4? My schedule allows me to negotiate the start time with myself. Why 5? Root cause: I lack a non-negotiable start signal. I must open the document at 9 a.m. regardless of feeling. The useful thought, therefore, is not "I need more motivation," but "I need to install a rigid start signal" and eliminate the opportunity for negotiation. This principle transforms vague problems into concrete, executable system changes, leading to permanent, predictable success. Positive thinking often leads to magical thinking, where resources and constraints are ignored in favor of aspirational outcomes. The fifth core principle is the cognitive cost-benefit analysis, a ruthless accounting of mental, temporal, and financial resources. Useful thinking demands that before every significant action or commitment, you ask not only "what will I gain," but also "what is the actual non-negotiable cost?" The hard truth: every yes to a new opportunity is a no to everything else. Useful thinking manages scarcity. When a new, exciting project comes along, the positive thinker says, "Yes, I can do it," manifest success. The useful thinker runs the numbers. Cost: this new commitment will require 15 hours per week. Resource trade: where will those 15 hours come from? Example, 5 hours of sleep, 10 hours of family time. Risk: is the potential benefit worth the guaranteed sacrifice of sleep and relationships? This discipline forces you to prioritize based on realistic constraint, not limitless aspiration. It prevents the common failure of overcommitment and energy diffusion. Furthermore, useful thinking applies this analysis to negative behavior. Before you procrastinate, you quantify the cost. This 30 minutes of scrolling will cost me 2 hours of catch-up work later, lower my sleep quality, and degrade my self-trust. The cost is too high. This precise quantification makes the undisciplined choice immediately unattractive. Positive thinkers often reserve their emotional celebration for massive, far-off victories. This leads to burnout and a lack of immediate reinforcement. The sixth core principle is the small wins accountability, the useful practice of acknowledging and cementing micro-progress daily. Useful thinking recognizes that the mental energy for the next large task is generated by the success of the previous small one. The hard truth: motivation is sustained by momentum, not by distant dreams.
Every single day, the useful thinker ends their work block by asking, what is the one concrete thing I finished today that moves the needle? It is not enough to simply list the completed tasks. You must acknowledge the discipline. Mentally note the moment of resistance you overcame to complete that small task. For example, I pushed through the tedious data entry for 20 minutes when I wanted to quit. Cement the win. Record the specific, measurable accomplishment in a journal or checklist. This practice grounds your confidence in objective reality, not in vague hope. You build an irrefutable track record of success, regardless of the ultimate outcome of the massive goal. When doubt creeps in, you don't use affirmations, you use evidence. You remind yourself, I executed my plan yesterday and I executed it the day before. I am a person who executes. This small form of useful accountability is the secret to unbreakable long-term perseverance. The era of soft, fragile thinking is over. Your life demands rigor, clarity, and an absolute commitment to useful thinking. Stop with the empty affirmations. Start building a cognitive framework that addresses reality as it is, not as you wish it were. Master reality alignment. Prioritize action over emotion. Practice negative visualization for resilience. Use the 5XY grid for root causes. Quantify costs and cement your small wins daily. This is the cognitive architecture of success. It is not about feeling good. It is about performing effectively. Your immediate action step is this. Identify the one chronic problem you are currently facing. Apply the 5XY solution grid to it. Ask why 5 times until you reach the root system failure. Your useful thought is the specific, non-negotiable action required to fix that root cause, not the symptom. Execute that action immediately. If this message from the Zenith Voice has armed you with the blueprint for a resilient mind, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel to join a community dedicated to cold, hard reality, and share this audio with someone who is ready to move beyond fragile hope and into effective action. Explore the next lesson in our library and solidify your commitment to thinking usefully.